Here. Michael Kurtz.
Here.
Rick Dean.
Here.
Julia Turner.
Here.
Rick Zimmerman.
Here.
Jim Finnegan.
Here.
Chris Carlton.
Here.
Mary Beth Taylor.
Here.
We have a quorum. This is a continuation of case SU 1711, and I'm going to have my counsel tell us where we're at in the procedure. Kind of quiet down out there if you would, please. Thanks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are still at the testimony portion of our evidentiary hearing. So what we are doing is going through the list of signups. We will cycle through that one last time. We will then have an opportunity for brief rebuttal testimony if that's exercised. If not, then we will have closing arguments, and we can talk about that a little bit as we get closer to that. But for right now, we are just going to go through the sign-up sheet and make sure that anyone that's here that signed up to testify and wants to testify can do so.
Dan Deneen. Here. You want to come up and testify?
Who would be getting copies of exhibit? We have copies. Angelo prepared those for me.
Bottom right-hand corner. There you go.
Thank you.
Would you like to be sworn in or affirmed?
Sworn.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this case now and here will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Would you state your name and address and spell your last name for the record?
Daniel Deneen, D-E-N-E-E-N, 2219 West Oakland Avenue, Bloomington, Illinois.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm here and I'm wearing two hats today.
Mr. Dean, before you start, I'm sorry, did you want to be qualified as an expert?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to verify that.
We will call your exhibit, Mr. Deneen, neutral exhibit 7.
Okay, thank you. The first hat I'm wearing is Parklands Foundation president. Parklands Foundation is a not-for-profit organization that provides a very valuable resource for the community. It is a public resource and open to the public, although it is 100% private. Parklands Foundation has approximately 3,500 to 4,000 acres of conservation ground in McLean and Woodford County. I have given you the resolution by the Parklands Foundation Board. The Parklands Foundation does not support or oppose the Invenergy McLean Wind Energy Center. Parklands Foundation supports all of the Illinois Department of Natural Resources recommendations in effect at time of vote by the Zoning Board of Appeals or McLean County Board as a condition of approval, especially including a 1/2 mile setback from the Mackinac River, as well as all of Henline Creek, including within the INAI designation for any wind turbine. And I will comment first on the environmental factors. The county has in its ordinances support for the IDNR positions. The IDNR recommendations must be honored except for credible evidence otherwise. And you have the different resolutions. I won't go into them. I know you want to get out of here quickly. I will state though, when I first questioned Mr. Parzik, he tried to evade the answers. He didn't know the standards. He He didn't provide credible evidence. He was upset when I asked him what credible evidence he had. I do not believe they have given credible evidence for any of the factors, so I would ask the board to make, zoning board to make a recommendation to the full board that it accept all of the IDNR recommendations. I was further incensed when Angelo Caparella was up here. He was attacked. The burden of proof was on Invenergy to provide credible evidence. Instead, Mr. Griffin kept asking in questions that Ms. Wally said were improper later on in this proceeding. He kept asking Angelo, "Are you aware?" And he would say something. How could he be aware of a study that was not in the record? They could have provided the credible evidence, they didn't. So on behalf of Parklands Foundation, we would ask that you protect this, because Parklands Foundation has an ecological wildlife oasis in the middle of what's basically an ecological desert because of farm ground and other things. Not that I oppose farm ground. I will take off my hat for Parklands and testify privately now. This will surprise Mr. Griffin and Mr. Parzik, but I am in support of a wind farm. Coal is dead, oil is dying, and other factors. Alternative energy sources and conservation are increasing, more so in the rest of the world than they are here. We need to get behind it. However, that being said, it is for this zoning board and the county board to protect its citizens from just taking a project at face value and saying, "We will accept your money, build this project." You've heard numerous comments in other areas, but they are trying to get as many turbines as they can in different areas. I will just comment briefly on the most important area, and that is noise, which a lot of the people are here about. The board must look towards the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens in this community. First, I would say you need to take a look also what is objective and what is subjective. Mr. Hartke might have been a little too subjective, but you get to objective on some of the other information. ISO standards are objective. They are from the people around the world who say this is the best standards for wind farms. Subjective is their witness who said, "Well, I don't really agree with their standards. I want to knock 2 decibels off." I know at least 4 of you up there are very familiar with noise standards. 2 decibels is a lot of noise standard. 3 decibels increases the noise power by a factor of double. And I believe the noise loudness is about 23% more. So on behalf of the people around the community, be very, very conservative and protect the people from the excess noise. I think you need to break things into 2 different classes and ask them to go back to their computer model and readjust. The first are what they call the participating people. And the participating people, they should be protected by the 1,500-foot minimum standard, which should get you to about 39 decibel level unadjusted. But for the non-participating persons, the ones who aren't asking for a wind farm, the ones who are not getting paid a nice amount, then you should be much, much more conservative. I would suggest, I'll leave it to you, and you'll probably debate it, but I believe they should have at least a 3 decibel cushion. If their expert was willing to throw out 2 decibels, I think it's only fair that you protect them with about 3 decibels below the Illinois Pollution Control Board standards. That would result, I believe, in 23% less noise energy. Now that, not energy, loudness. That might not be exact, but anyone can go to the internet and see it's in the 20 to 25% range. Their expert was correct. I'm not going to give an estimate as to whether you need to stretch that to 1,750, 1,800 feet or more, but their expert was correct, and it depends on how far away from the turbine. The further away from the turbine, I believe, the less, the more effect you get with it. But that could have been explained by their expert instead of by a layman. So I'm not going to suggest a distance, but they should have at least a 3 decibel cushion, in my opinion, for the non-participating people. For the village of Lexington, city of Lexington, I think it needs to be at least half a mile, because that is a community, and you don't want to restrict Lexington's expansion because they want to lock them in with this. And then just going back, and to summarize really, you have the one exhibit, and you saw it up there. Turn all of the red areas with houses green. The non-participating persons should not be within the red zone. And the red zone should not be calculated taking off 2 decibels, but perhaps adding 3 decibels to the standards. Go conservative for these people. And one other thing that did come up, and I would suggest also, they talked about if they do build turbines too close to persons, they are going to have to make adjustments. They have to turn them on and off. They lose their productivity. And I would suggest this board tell them to crunch their numbers further, and instead of turning off turbines and making adjustments just for non-participating persons, put them a little further away. Thank you.
Questions from the board?
Dan, are you under the assumption that he took 3 decibels or 2 decibels off of the standard?
Yeah, it's my understanding that he took the ISO standard and he randomly,
Okay.
well, not, he doesn't think it's randomly, he subjectively believes he doesn't fit the model.
Right, I think he was taking it off of his own model, is what he was saying, not off the standard, but off of his own model. Could that be possible?
You would have to ask him, but I did hear quite clearly that he crunched the numbers and he said, well, let's reduce it by 2 decibels. He did say, I did add in, I figured it out as if it was a parking lot, but there was no discussion as to the magnitude of that deviation. And we don't know if it's more or less than 2 decibels.
Okay, I'll be sure to go back and read that.
Yeah, I wasn't able to attend all the hearings. Of course, I had other meetings, other engagements, and I wasn't brought in till the end.
You're a lucky guy.
And also, going with what the retired superintendent said, I am a voluntary person for Parklands.
For the record, my partner in one of my businesses is the treasurer of Parklands organization. I believe she still is. And
Yes, she's,
that's right.
we haven't allowed her to exit.
What I'm hearing you suggest is that one of the possibilities, were we to vote for this, that you would request that we stipulate that we would have the applicant adjust or program some of the turbines so that they would reduce the sound for particular periods of time, like at night, have them shut off at the particular level, whatever that would be, so that they would create less noise.
My suggestion to avoid friction between non-participating residents and Invenergy, instead of making their adjustments, which cuts back on their productivity, and it will be even more critical in coming years as the price of energy goes up, but the better practice would be to move them away from the non-participating persons. Maybe it's up to 1,750, 250 feet added to 1,500 would lower it, not just 1/6, but probably greater than that. But I'm not an expert in that area, but I do understand the science. And when he stated it's dependent upon how far you are from the turbine, that is a proper general statement, but I cannot quantify it. But if they pushed all the non-participating persons to at least 1,750 feet, I think it would avoid friction a great amount. And I believe that they would have the ability to do it in their computer models when they plot these out. And the one witness was very candid. He just said, I'm not too concerned about the participating persons. They've made their choice, and I would agree with that.
Any questions from staff? Would anyone in the audience have questions of this witness? Or come forward? Push the button first, bottom right-hand corner, and state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Lori Sleeter, S-L-E-E-T-E-R. My address is 23903 North 2900 East Road in Lexington.
Could you spell your first name?
L-A-U-R-I-E.
Go ahead.
Mr. Deneen, I was wondering, you mentioned the ID in our recommendations for both the Mackinac River and Henline Creek.
Correct.
And the setback should be their standard of 500 feet.
That's what IDNR recommended, half mile for the Mackinac River. Then I believe most of lower Henline Creek is a half mile, but the upper water courses would be 500 feet.
I was wondering if, on your list for record, if you could also include Patton Creek?
I think that would be considered definitely in the record as being one of the recommendation 500 feet of perennial stream. I believe Patton Creek would qualify. Certainly from the photo that the gentleman provided, it isn't a steep ditched, straight waterway.
Yes, thank you. I would appreciate that. That's it.
Any other questions? I think that's it.
Thank you for your time and your patience over all the evenings.
Thank you for coming up. Push the button if you would.
David Klein. Dennis Bergerie. Bergerie. Could you sit over here, Mr. Bergerie? Push the button on the right, bottom right, push the button and then talk right into it.
Yes. Would you like to be sworn in or affirmed?
Sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony that you give in this case now will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Would you state your name and address and spell your last name?
My first name is Dennis, 2 N's. Last name is Bergerie, it's a long one. B is in baseball, O-U-R, G is in Georgia, E-R-I-E. I live at 1621 North School Street in Normal, Illinois, with my wife Irene. We've lived there for 38 years. I grew up in Lexington. I graduated from Lexington Grade School and from Lexington High School. before graduating from the University of Illinois. I'm a little nervous. I own half of a farm with Judd Stover, who owns the other half. He and his son Aaron farm the property. I've owned my half of the property for 32 years. Full disclosure, we have signed a contract with Invenergy. Over the past 3 years, the farm income has gone down, 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 and land taxes have gone up, up, up. So this sequence squeezes us financially very much. We would like to leave something for our 2 children when we pass away. My wife is 80 and I'm 78. And the wind farm revenue would benefit their lives very much. I had a conversation with Judd Stover III, who is a member of the Town Council of Lexington, just yesterday. He told me that the Lexington School had 2 teachers retire recently. They are not going to be replaced. The physics courses for students are going to be discontinued. This is a blow to science education in the Lexington School District. By the way, I have 16 relatives who live in the Lexington School District and 7 children who attend Lexington schools. People want to have a good school for their children. If the school system deteriorates, property values will go down. People don't want to move into the community. I strongly support this clean energy project. Thank you for allowing me to speak before you.
You're quite welcome. Any questions from the board?
Do you currently still live on your farm?
No, I live on 1621 North School Street.
In School Street here, sorry,
Yes,
I was
Normal.
looking at something else, thank you.
Yes.
Does your tenant live on the farm?
There is no house on the farm anymore. My co-owner is Judd Stover. He farms the farm with his son Aaron Stover.
Do they live in the area?
They live in the Lexington School District. I think Aaron lives within the city of Lexington and Judd lives south of Lexington. Thank you.
Any questions? No questions from staff. Anyone in the audience have questions of this witness? Looks like we have one. Whichever place you want to set's fine. Push the button on the bottom right-hand corner. State your name and address.
My name is Lindsay Bachman, B-A-C-H-M-A-N, 23479 East 2700 North Road, Lexington. Just a little background from myself. My husband and I are going to be residing on a very much affected, non-participating residence should this all go through. My question for you is, you specifically stated that you do not live near this project. Why is it the responsibility of the people that do to help you provide an inheritance for your family? I just want to understand where your logic is coming from.
Well, I believe this project is environmentally safe. I believe it has clean energy. It is our property. Normally, you can do what's legal with your property.
I understand that. When you went under contract with, go ahead, I'm sorry.
And I do hope that the turbines will be as soft and noisy as possible.
When you when you went under contract with Invenergy, were you aware of how non-participating residences could be affected by what you're putting on your ground? Did they give you any of that information?
I would say no.
Okay. If you lived on your farm and were going to be near this turbine, would you be as willing to have it put on your ground as you are living in Normal?
Yes.
Okay. And just so I'm clear, it sounded like, I understand that you're in support of the project, but solely in this for financial gain and to eventually benefit your family?
Yes, we will receive money from the turbine. The school district, as I understand it, will also receive a lot of money from these turbines.
I think that's all the questions I have.
Any other questions for this witness? Come forward, please.
Lori Sleater, 23903 North, 2900 East Road, Lexington. This is really nerve-wracking. Bergeret, is that how you say your last name, Mr. Bergeret?
Yeah.
Hi. Do you think the turbines are the only way to save our school?
I'm not really an expert on the financial system.
Just in your opinion, do you think it's the only way? Do you think our school will close if we don't sign up or have the project in place?
I mean, just an opinion. I think it will prevent the school from deteriorating.
Do you know other ways that Lexingtonian residents have supported the school?
By very high taxes.
We had a vote.
I mean, I've had conversations with people who live in Lexington.
And you know about the tax referendum that we voted for the school.
I'm not familiar with it.
You did do that. Do you think that all Lexington residents, including myself that live in the country, do you think we've been properly notified about this project? As a landowner, you were notified almost 2 years ago, correct?
That sounds right.
Do you think that all Lexington residents were notified at that time or since?
You don't have to answer it if you know. Otherwise, you don't have to answer the question. I mean, to the best of your ability.
I don't know.
Any other questions?
Yes. Do you know anything about school enrollment and how that affects the programs, teachers, sports? Do you know how that affects Lexington schools?
I'm not that involved with the specifics of the Lexington schools.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I think you can push that button.
Louis Lipscomb. Louise? Is it Louise? Lois. Lois, sorry.
Push the right-hand button, lower button. Thank you, you're new. Would you like to be sworn in or affirmed?
Yes, please.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you should give in this case now in hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Would you state your name and address and spell your last name?
Lois, which is Lois, Lipscomb, Lipscomb, 342 Fieldcrest Court, Normal, Illinois. As I have stated my name, and my husband, Frank, and our 3 daughters comprise the Warlow Corporation. We own farmland east of the interstate in the Lexington area. When approached by Invenergy for the possibility of a wind turbine on our land, we took several weeks to research the company and also connect with farm owners who currently have wind turbines on their land. We weighed the pros and cons and then signed the Invenergy contract. Obviously, the pros outweighed the cons. We did not find any problems of the magnitude which were described by Mr. Hartke on Tuesday evening. On Tuesday evening, during the question portion of Mr. Burgey's testimony, the comment was made that farming has its ups and downs, but you still made it. And he agreed with that. My parents farmed during their life, and they too made it. However, there were farm owners in those downtimes who did not make it. Farming is currently in a downtime. Our family felt adding a wind turbine to our land would not only augment the farm income, but produce much needed electricity for our country. We actually feel that we are being berated for signing a contract with Invenergy. Farming is a business. A business must make a profit to continue.
Any questions from the board?
How many of your family members are living close to the windmill?
None.
None?
You might have said this, but I don't know. I missed it. Does some of your family still farm the farm right now?
No, they do not.
You have it rented out to other people?
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you.
How many turbines will you have on your land?
Possibly one.
Possibly more, possibly none?
That I can't tell you. I know there's a possibility of one.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think it's gotten to that point yet.
Would anyone in the audience have a question of this witness? Would you like to be sworn in?
Please.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this case down here and be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? You don't have to swear him in. Sorry.
Good practice, Ron.
You know, I'm human too. I do your name and address, and
Yes.
spell it.
Jared Hudson, Hudson, Lexington, Illinois.
Could you give your address in Lexington, please?
I believe by state law with the Open Meetings Act, I'm not required to. Thank you. So you said,
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to let you know, that's fine. You don't have to give your physical address. You're, like you said, it's not necessarily an OMA issue, but it's important for the board. It's a weight issue for testimony. They want to make sure that when they're considering evidence, that they're looking at individuals from our community that are testifying. So you certainly don't have to, but I just wanted to make you aware of that.
I'll give you the crossroads.
That's fine.
It's 2450 North Road and 3100 East. Okay. So you said a big reason that you signed the contract with Invenergy is because of the hard times with farmers. Prices are down and it's hard to make a living. I understand that. I work in agriculture, so I know where you're coming from. But you also made the comment that you don't farm the ground yourself, that you rent it out.
That's correct.
Currently, most renters are not having the hardship the farmers have because they do not have the costs involved. So is that money really to help the farm, or is it just put money in your pocket at the end of the day?
I believe it's both.
How will the money from the windmill help your farm if you're not farming it?
I'm sorry, I can't answer that question.
Okay, that's all I got.
Thank you very much. You might have to wait just a second, she can look first, sorry. Would you state your name and address and spell your last name?
Kelly, Kellie, Duzan, Duzan.
We have your address.
Oh yeah, sorry. 24322 North 2250 East Road in Lexington, Illinois. I just have a question for you. You caught my attention when you described your business, your farming business. And you said that you needed to do more than just make it. You wanted to have a thriving business. Am I correct?
I guess, I think you kind of misconstrued what I said. Any business, whether it's farming or not, has to make a profit in order to keep viable.
Most definitely. My husband is self-employed, so I do get that.
Right.
If somebody came in and somehow made you change the way you ran your business, and you could no longer thrive, you only had a choice to make it, how would you feel?
I really don't think that pertains to what we're talking about here. I think you've gotten off the subject.
Well, you don't live on your farm, am I correct?
That's correct.
So you're using this turbine so that your business can do more than just make it.
Yeah.
So a main question that I have, I'm an RN,
So
so
am I.
are you? It's a hard field, isn't it?
Yes.
When I speak with patients, or when I did speak with patients when I worked, there's a difference between surviving.
We need to get it down to a question though, if you would.
Sure. I'm comparing your make it and be successful to a person whose health is surviving, getting by, and thriving as a healthy individual.
I really don't find the comparison there and what we're trying to do here. I'm really sorry. I just.
So you don't feel like having non-participating members in the pathway or the affected area of your turbine will affect their lifestyle and well-being and allow them what they
fail to
deserve?
see how a turbine is going to affect somebody's lifestyle.
Really?
I have an opinion, you have an opinion. Obviously, we have different opinions.
Mm-hmm. But would you agree that there is a difference between health-wise surviving and health-wise thriving?
I guess there would be.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Amy Winterland, 22825 North, 3075 East Road, Colfax.
Would you spell your last name, please?
Winterland. Amy, A-M-Y. So you said this turbine is going to augment your farm income, correct?
That is our hope. That's what we hope to have.
So are you an active, are you active farming or passive farmer?
We have a soy capital, that's the.
Farm manager. So are you sharing the income you're getting from the turbine with the person who's actually farming the ground?
That's a personal question. I don't think that she has to answer that if she doesn't want to.
Okay. So the person farming the ground is paying cash rent. Did you take into consideration the additional income you're getting from the turbine when setting your cash rent?
I think you're way off of the subject. I don't see how that is pertinent with what I have said on what I.
Well,
you're into her personal business. It's not relevant.
No, okay, I'm just, what I was probably not saying this correctly, but the farm income is the farmer who's actually farming the ground. Okay.
It's a matter of debate.
Okay, sorry.
Any other questions? Right-hand bottom. Name, address, spell your last name.
Jeff Powell, Powell. 32897 East 2700 North. 32897 North 2700 East. Sorry. 32897 North or East 2700 North. Shinoda. Sorry, I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody that has signed with Invenergy yet. I was kept in the dark about it pretty well. The reason why I'm asking this question is I'm just unfamiliar how the process worked. At what point, you said you live in North Normal, right?
We do.
At what point, when you were signing with Invenergy, did you find out that the size of the wind turbines?
I don't know. I don't remember that. I'm sorry.
Were you basing any of your decision on what you have seen in the White Oak Farm and the size of those turbines?
No.
So the size of them didn't matter to you?
No, I didn't say it didn't matter. I just wasn't aware.
So when you signed with Invenergy, you did not know what size the wind turbines would be?
I'm sorry, I can't remember that.
Okay. How do you feel about, after signing with them, finding out that they will be up to 3 times bigger than what is at White Oak that you probably see every day?
I wasn't aware of that, sorry.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Any other questions? I think we got shot vote. You can push the button. Thanks for coming up.
Art Schliff.
As you're going by, would you push the button on the other one over here? Just sort of, it'll be off. Thank you. You like to be affirmed, is what you're going. You solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that the testimony you give in this case, now and hearing, will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, or you suffer the pains and penalties of perjury? Yes. Would you, yeah. State your name and address, spell your last name.
Arthur Schliff, SCHLIPF, 21302 East, 2950 North Road, Greeley, Illinois.
You go ahead. I think you got it all. Go ahead.
I just wanted to state that I'm in favor of the project. I feel that the benefits to the schools, to the community, to the county, to the landowners make this project a plus. That's all I have.
Any questions from the board? Do you farm your farm?
I help farm with my son. We farm half and half.
So your farm is going to be passed down to your son?
Right, correct.
And you're a participant, so that you're going to get a windmill or whatever on
Yeah, I'll propose to get one windmill.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board or staff?
Do you live on the same property where this turbine is going to be located?
Yes, I do.
Are you concerned about it being on your farm?
No.
Thank you.
Any questions from the audience for this witness? Well, I don't know, you got by on the first trip, so push the button if you would, please.
Matt Weiss.
Would you like to be sworn in or affirm?
I'll affirm.
Do you solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that the testimony you give in this case, now and hearing, will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, or you suffer the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Would you state your name and address, spell your last name?
Matt Weiss, W-Y-S-S, 517 West Sunset Drive, Eureka, Illinois. It does.
I think you can go ahead.
Okay, I'm here wearing two hats also. Number one, I'm a Vice President, Trust Officer and Farm Manager for Heartland Bank. And I represent 5 clients who have signed with New Energy and will have turbines. They are in support because of the clean energy, because of the increase in land values that the turbines will bring, and yes, for the added income so that they can pass on the farm heritage to their children. There's been a lot of conversations about whether a landowner who doesn't live on the farm has skin in the game, like the tenant. And I would just say, for a good piece of farmland that's worth $10,000, they stand to lose a couple $1,000s an acre in a downturn, like we've seen in the past couple of years from the highs. They have a lot of skin in the game. So from that regard, my clients are in support of the project. Personally, my family owns 320 acres in Lawndale Township, and they have signed up and have proposed to get 2 wind turbines. So my family is also in favor of the project. My family farms in Woodford and Tazewell County. There haven't been any wind farms near my home farm. There's just, the population is far too dense, and apparently it's not a high wind area. But if there were a turbine on my family's land, it would allow me to quit my desk job and start in on the farming operation. There's such a huge barrier to entry right now. Any extra income would help the next generation of farmers get back involved in the home farm.
Any questions from the board?
You said you have 5 clients that you help manage their farms in that area?
I do, yes.
Okay. Do any of them have families who live on the farms where the turbines would be?
No, none of them do.
Do you have any family that lives on the farms? You said there were two proposed turbines?
No, there's no family that lives there.
No family that lives there.
Now I want to talk to your other half.
Sure.
You said that the farm income helps with the entry, and that there's a big barrier to entry at this point. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure, yeah, for myself, coming out of college, I knew I would not be able to jump into the farming operation. My dad and my uncle farm 1,400 acres together, supporting 2 families. My dad's not ready to retire. He's not really ready to scale back. And if there was a wind turbine or 2 on the farm providing income, he would be able to scale back so that I would be able to take on some of those acres and be able to farm.
Looks like you're kind of young. You got a little time here.
I hope so.
Give your dad a little chance. Any questions with that?
You said that as a family who owns land has skin in the game. What do you mean?
Yes, I'm saying, a couple of years ago, when good land was selling for $13,000 or $14,000 an acre, and in some cases land is still selling for that much. My point is land values have decreased quite a bit the last few years from commodity highs. And if you look at farmland purely as an investment, which my clients don't, but they stand to lose $2,000 or $3,000, maybe $4,000 per acre. Whereas if you're a farmer and you're paying $200 an acre cash rent, $250 an acre cash rent, that $200, $250 an acre is a whole lot different than what the landowner stands to lose when land values decrease.
Are these landowners in a difficult situation then when this land is decreased and the turbines put them in a much better position? Is that what you're thinking?
I don't think their personal finances are important. I'm just saying, if you look at it strictly as an investment, they do have a lot of skin in the game. And I don't know if Dave Klein has testified yet. I know what his numbers say. I'm an appraiser. I know that a turbine adds between $1,000 and $1,200 per acre on a lot of farms, and it can really help offset some of those decreases.
Would anyone in the audience have questions? You might get here first.
Julie Hall Cotter, 23571 North 2900 East Road, Lexington. Cotter, C-O-T-T-E-R. As having grown up in the farming community and as a farmer, I also did. Obviously, you are aware that part of farming is the ups and downs.
Yes.
And all of our ancestors, mine included, have made it through the ups and downs. That's part of the game.
Yes.
Does it not bother your conscience at all that what you're doing is affecting many other lives and children that have no say-so as to what you do?
I believe in the right to do what's legal on your property. Whether that's a confinement hog operation, or whether that's a grain drying setup, or whether that's a wind turbine.
Most of us that choose to live in the country aren't offended by grain dryers or hog setups.
It just has to be questions, not testimony.
Okay, it doesn't bother your conscience at all?
It doesn't.
You've been here once, so you know the drill.
Yep. Jared Hudson, Hudson, 2450 North Road and 3100 East Road, Lexington, Illinois. So you said part of the benefit for farmers was if they're a landowner, because of land prices and commodity prices, that'll help offset. Do you realize that farmers are able to dictate what they buy that land for?
Yes, I realize nobody's forcing anybody to buy land at any price.
So if a farmer makes a bad business decision, should they get double subsidies to help make it?
No, I don't think so.
So if they shouldn't get double subsidies, they already get farming subsidies from the government. And then
We're
they would
getting
get
into testimony again, just a question.
All right. I guess that's it. Thank you.
Any other questions? You can push that button. Oh, we got one more. He was a latecomer, we'll let him in. Sorry.
Whether I should or not.
He's young, he can take it.
Well, my question may not be perfect. You need Tim Jolly, 26759 East, 2700 North Road, Chinook. Jolly, just like that. Okay. Okay. Have you discussed with the nearby non-participants how this project would impact them?
I have discussed it with a few, yes.
How close would they be approximately to the turbine that is proposed?
I don't know the exact distance, but I think, I don't know the exact distance.
A mile?
I would say they'd be closer than a mile.
Half a mile?
Possibly closer.
Okay. And these are non-participants that you have talked to?
Yes.
What was their reaction?
Their reaction was they would prefer not to have them, but they understand it's not their decision.
Okay. You had talked about farmland investing?
Yes.
What are the last 15 years, what is the trend in farmland been?
It's been up.
Do you, and I know this is with your age, about what year do you recall them really escalating?
I remember when I was in 4th grade and my grandpa bought a farm for $3,000 an acre, and then I kind of lost touch of things, and so yeah, I don't. 2006, 2007, they really took off.
And that was because the commodity prices were extremely high at that time, correct?
Yeah, peaking in 2012, 13.
So the price of farmland kind of fluctuates with the price of commodities.
Agreed.
So if the price of commodities were to escalate again, it's quite possibly and probable that they would escalate again.
I hope so.
Thank you.
Yes. One more question. Can you take it?
That looks like there's two.
Two. Ladies first.
My name is Julie Botkin, Botkin, 23343 North, Julie.
I only got part of your address.
23343 North, 2600 East Road, Lexington, 61753. I just have one question for you. We farm, we live on 100 acres or so, and I was wondering, what areas, you said land values are fluctuating, going up and down. What areas are going down? Do you see certain trend, like places are going down whereas other places are not, or?
I would say prime farmland is holding its value for sure. Lesser quality land has dropped off a lot. Farmland with a drainage ditch through it, farmland with poor drainage, triangular shaped tracts, anything that's difficult to farm or doesn't look as appealing to the eye is dropping off. But prime farmland has pretty much held its value.
What do you consider appealing to the eye?
Nice square 80s, nice square 160s.
Okay. That's all I have. Thanks.
Name and address and spell your last name again.
Dennis Bergery, B is in baseball, O-U-R, G is in George, E-R-I-E. My question is, does the real estate tax on farmland fluctuate up and down, or does it basically stay level and only go up?
It's supposed to fluctuate. The last 5 or 6 years has gone up 10% every year. Finally, it's still going up, but the percentage increase is decreasing. So in the last year, 8 or 9% increase, but I think we've leveled off. We've caught up to the increased value of land, and I'm hoping farmland real estate taxes will, if not decrease, increase at a slower rate.
That's the end of my questions.
Thank you. You go. One more.
Tim Jolly, same address. You had mentioned about being prime farm ground. Would you probably classify this farm ground as the best in the state?
That's a little subjective, but I would say McLean County is some of the best in the state, yes.
The yields in McLean County, how do they rank statewide in corn and bean production?
I'm terrible with specific numbers. I know they're always close to the top. Woodford County was #1 a year or two ago. Piatt County is usually excellent. Macon, Champaign, all very good.
But McLean, and just my
McLean's right up there.
They are right there. When you're taking prime farm ground out of production to put windmills on that, do you think that is a prudent way to treat farm ground?
I don't think taking an acre of land for a wind turbine is imprudent.
Do you think it would be better served to put it in less productive ground?
I understand your question. I don't think it would matter where you put the wind turbine.
Do you believe that the population of the world is increasing or decreasing?
I believe it's increasing, projected to be at 9 million in 2030 or whatever they say.
9 billion?
99 billion, yeah.
Do you know how many people that an acre of farmland will feed?
I do not.
Okay. That is all.
Any other questions? We got one more.
Bruce Johnson, Lexington, Illinois, 15 Gregory Lane, Johnsson. You'd mentioned the taxes.
Yes.
Will the turbine on the farm ground cause the taxes to go up?
I believe any taxes associated with the turbine itself are paid by Invenergy. But if the assessment for the land goes up, that would be the responsibility of the landowner.
So the answer to that question is yes, the taxes will go up, right?
The assessed value on the turbine structure itself is not taxed to the landowner, to my understanding.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Better push that button there, Brad.
Dave Kaufman.
Dave Kaufman, 5.
Hang on just a second.
Yeah, okay.
Would you like to be sworn in?
Or sworn?
Sworn. We're gonna have a good time. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this case now and hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
State your name and address and spell your last name.
David Kaufman, Kaufman, 549 County Road 2500 East, El Paso, Illinois. First of all, I'd like to thank the board for the endless hours, evenings. I hope you don't have jobs you gotta get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to work. 'Cause I know it's rough. But anyway, my wife and I and my daughter and granddaughter do own a farm south of Chinoa that we did sign up with Invenergy. And like I say, it's a family-owned farm, my wife, my daughter, and my granddaughter. And one thing I'd like to point out, I haven't really heard pointed out, is the money, everybody's talking about the money that the windmills are bringing in. Yes, I won't sit there and say, no, they're not bringing money. Yes, they are. But being a businessman, you gotta realize you can't hoard money or you pay income tax on it. So this money, the thousands of dollars that's coming in McLean County will be spent. Majority of it will be spent in McLean County. Such as buying machinery. Just our farm operation alone, last year bought over $350,000 worth of machinery right there at Bergey's out here. And the revenue from the gentleman from the putting it up to make the contractors, construction people putting up the wind towers, the income tax that they're going to be paying, and they're going to have the income, and it's going to be spent in McLean County. And you know, that's about all I got to say.
Questions on the board?
So you're an active farmer then?
Yes, I'm an active farmer. I have 3 farms over at El Paso, that farm, and then the one in Chinoa I rent to my nephew, and I help him farming.
Okay.
Well, the farms that are in this proposed district here, are the wind farms stay in your family?
Yes.
So
they're already.
So your nephew?
They're already in trust. Are you mean as far as renting?
Renting them, yeah.
Renting them, yeah. My nephew rents them, yes.
Okay. That's all I have.
Does your nephew live on the farm?
No.
Any questions with staff? Would anyone in the audience have questions as witness? See one. You can handle it.
Jeff Powell, Powell, 32897 East, 2740, Chinoa, Illinois. I want to ask you the same question that I asked earlier. Were you aware of the size of these turbines when you signed with Invenergy?
I knew they were 2.5, yes.
Okay. You said you farm, so you probably spent a lot of time on township roads.
Yes.
With the size of those turbines getting trucked in and all the construction equipment and concrete trucks and whatnot, are you concerned at all with the impact that will have on those township roads?
No, because I work in North Normal, and I watched the White Oak, I believe it's called White Oak Farms, we put up here in northwest corner of Normal. And I watched them, and I watched the roads. The main reason I watched the roads is Dave Brown from Brown Blue Chicago down, the surveyors, is my neighbor, and he worked with the township commissioner as far as watching the roads and stuff like that too. And I never seen anything tore up out there.
So with the size of the White Oak farm, you didn't see any issues, but these are more than twice as big, maybe up to 3 times big. Do you think, bigger windmill, bigger turbine, do you think that might have an impact on the roads?
Are you sure of the fact that 2.5 to 3 times bigger than the White Oak?
That's the
White Oaks are big. Pardon me?
The ones that, the information that I've been getting, the White Oak windmills are.
If they're 3 times bigger, they would have to be, these out there would only have to be like a 2.75 megawatt. And these they're putting up is 2.5. Can any of you gentlemen, I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm trying to.
We're just kind of the questions here, so.
Okay. Well,
something we clarify later if we have to.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm in the dark about it myself, so I'm trying to find out exactly how big these will be myself.
We do farm right next to a farm up in Woodford County. It's got a Met Tower, I think it's called Met Tower, on the farm that we custom farm. And right next to it, within, I would guess, I mean, don't give me quotes on this, but I guess within 100 feet of the fence line, there's a turbine. I took my grandson out there with me last fall, just to stand under it to see what the difference, to show him what it looked like. And it was a windy fall day. Turbines were turning, I don't know how many revolutions. And the farm that we was on had 4 of them, 4 turbines within an 1/8 of a mile of the fence line. And not once that afternoon could we hear the windmills. And I don't know what size towers are.
In your experience in farming all these years on township roads, have you experienced whenever any road damage has occurred?
For farm machinery, or what are you talking about?
Just overweight equipment.
First of all, I'm also in the trucking business, and I don't believe the gentlemen are going to go out on the road with the trucks that are over legal limit. Do you know what the legal limit is on a truck?
Per axle? Semi is 80,000.
Per axle? On a tandem axle, you know, or not? On a dual, on an axle of a truck, do you know what the weight limit is?
We're getting into testimony. We are.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing.
I
don't know what is coming in. I don't know how long.
I'm sure they'd have to be coming illegal. I mean, they're governed by, they're watched by the Township Road Commissioner.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking this question is because my concern is if there is damage.
That'd be a question.
Okay. If you've seen road damage before, has it been fixed properly in a prompt manner? And do you think that will happen after this project if there is road damage?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I can't get off that easy.
Yeah, I think you did. Push the button.
Thank you.
Hold it one more.
Can't chase me.
Bruce Johnson, 15 Gregory Lane, Lexington, Illinois. Do any of your family members live on these farms with the wind turbines? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
But can I say what they do? I do live within a mile of White Oak.
Okay. Any other questions? I think I'd run if I was you.
Thank you.
Dave Glasinski.
Here.
Bottom right-hand corner.
Okay. All right.
Would you like to be sworn in or affirmed?
Whatever.
I'll swear again unless you want to be affirmed.
No, that's fine.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this case now and hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Would you state your name and address and spell
My
your
name
last
is Dave Gosinski. My wife and I live at 132 Hilton Drive in Lexington.
You're going to have to spell your last name.
Again, all right. It's Glacinski. Okay? Okay. Like I said, my wife and I live in Lexington, and there is a big need in Lexington Township for a project like this to be successful.
the real estate taxes are too high, and the school system, the cost of running the school is not sustainable. I want to point out 4 homes that I know in the...
Could you kind of speak just a little bit closer to the mic or pull it towards you? Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I know personally of 4 homes that have gone on the real estate market over the last 3 years that were off and on repeatedly. They could not sell, all right? The owners told me it was due to the shaky school system and the high real estate taxes. 2 of those homes went into foreclosure, and I was told a couple of weeks ago that the 3rd one went back to the bank. So obviously, the real estate value is not going to be hurt by the windmills, all right? However, after listening to the testimony of Mr. Hartke, I think it was Dr. Schomer, all right, there appears to be an issue with the decibel rating and the proximity of the turbines. So I think unless that gets reasonably addressed, we may be doing harm to some of the people living by. That's all I have to say.
Questions from the board?
How long have you lived in Lexington?
40 years, 41 years.
Do you work in Lexington also?
Oh, no, I'm retired. I come from a farming family, all right? But I worked in manufacturing myself.
Okay, thank you.
Questions from staff? I guess I haven't asked the applicants if they have any questions, but I think you come up if you did. Any questions from the audience? Well, I think you're okay.
Darrell Haney.
I'm going to pass for now till February 6th.
Amy. That will be a different hearing, you know.
I understand.
Okay. Amy L. Liable. Kelly Duzan.
Would you like to be sworn in?
Please.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this case down here will be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, help you God?
I do.
State your name and address and spell your last name, please.
Kelly Duzan, D-U-Z-A-N, 24322 North 2250 East Road, Lexington.
Could you spell your first name too, please?
Kellie. Okay, well, y'all know my name. I'm Kelly, and y'all know that I'm a nurse. I have a Bachelor's of Science degree in nursing from Illinois Wesleyan, and for 11 years of my career, I was the school nurse in Lexington School District. So because of my nursing background, I have had an interest in reading articles and studies that have been done regarding the health effects of the turbines. One caught my eye, especially, these results are disturbing to me, I'll be honest. I read of a conference on wind turbine syndrome. And I'm just gonna read to you some bullet points, some quotes from the professors and physicians that spoke at that conference. Gives you a little information on how the ear actually works, so we're not gonna get technical, but your ear has 3 organs in it. 1 is used for hearing, 2 are used for motion sensing. So that's a little bit of background. So I'm quoting these first few points from a Nina Pierpont, MD, PhD, and a behavioral pediatric specialist. So number one, the physiologic responses in the hearing organ inside the ear suppress the hearing response to low frequency sound. So we're not going to hear that, but still sends signals to the brain. This physiologic response to turbine noise is a trigger for tinnitus and the brain cell level reorganization that represents. So we know tinnitus is a ringing in the ear. Most of us are kind of familiar with that term. The New England Journal of Medicine describes the pathophysiology of tinnitus as, quote, what's happening here is that the cells in the brain are making new connections, not good connections. It's like chaos in the brain, and it's like hearing a noise that isn't really there. To take it a little further, it's kind of like a phantom pain if you've known anybody who's had an amputation. There's no lower leg there, but they still feel pain. Number two, the motion detecting organs in the ear also respond to the airborne low frequency sound. The physiological responses and signals from these organs are known to generate a wide range of brain responses, including dizziness and nausea, fear and alerting, and difficulties with visually based problem solving. Number three, the increased alerting in the presence of wind turbine noise disturbs sleep even when people do not recall being awakened. Population level surveys show clear disturbances of sleep and mental well-being out to 4,600 feet from turbines, with diminishing effects out to 3 miles. These sensory systems in our ears change our brain functioning. They affect not only what an animal or person feels and thinks at that very moment, but also how that brain will function in the future, even the near future. Dr. Pierpont says that in her wind turbine study, she did a survey and a study from her private practice. She started seeing so many symptoms that were new after the project opened near her home. 7 out of 10 school-aged children and teens did worse in school during exposure to turbines compared to before or after, including unexpected problems in reading, math, concentration, and test performance noticed by both teachers and parents. Teachers sent home notes asking what was wrong with the children. And then she says over 90% of her sample of affected people, both adults and children, had cognitive difficulties during wind turbine exposure. Problems that lingered and resolved slowly after exposure ended. These include difficulties with reading, math, spelling, writing, multitasking in kitchen and home, remembering a series of errands, maintaining a train of thought in a telephone conversation, following the plot of a TV show, following recipes, and following directions to put together furniture. Now, some of those seem a little trite, but we in the nursing profession call those activities of daily living, and we rate a person's health in the home very highly. We regard those activities of daily living very highly. Obviously, we need those to survive. Also, the balance system is closely linked to emotions, especially fear, anxiety, and panic. In her study, she says that 14 out of 21 of the adult subjects experienced a highly disturbing collection of symptoms when exposed to high levels of turbine noise. They felt movement inside their chests, described a quivering, a jitteriness, or a pulsation, and then an uncomfortable urge to flee, to get out of there. That's called the flight or fight response. Or if the feeling awoke them at night, panic with racing heart, a feeling they could not breathe, or the sense that there had just been an alarming noise like a window breaking, and then they had to go check the house. Dr. Christopher Hanning, MD, is a sleep specialist. Wind turbines create a particularly disturbing kind of noise with high alert potential. This type of disturbance requires even less noise than full awakening, but still disrupts sleep and its restorative properties for mood, memory, thinking, alertness, and coordination. From Rick James, a noise control engineer. Disturbing high alert qualities of wind turbine noise include high levels of low frequency noise and infrasound, as well as the pulsating quality of the low frequency noise and infrasound. Both the audible noise and the infrasound from turbines are subject to, quote, amplitude modulation, meaning the loudness goes up and down, a quality that adds markedly to its disturbing character. A second point from the noise control engineer is the arrangement and spacing of turbines in clusters also affects how much noise they make. A second turbine beating in the downwind turbulence of the first turbine makes more noise. A final word from Dr. Piermont at the end of her presentation, which was called Wind Turbine Syndrome and the Brain, speaks loud and clear. Quote, "For me, it was both sobering and energizing to talk again with victims of wind turbine syndrome at the conference. At times, distracted by political and journalistic noise, I forget how serious WTS actually is. Separately, a man and a woman from different countries told me quietly of their thoughts of committing suicide. Both are older, with good marriages and productive lives and adequate resources. One has been driven from her home by relentless nausea and vomiting, and the other is made ill whenever he returns home. While governments, the wind industry, and the media continue to belittle and deny the experience of these individuals, I am reminded once more that the physical, mental, social, and financial consequences of this perfectly correctable condition are appalling." End quote. One other thing that I would like to read briefly, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I've only got 2 minutes left. It's a letter written, though, by the superintendent of the Armstrong Township High School after the Cal Ridge project was completed, and it describes some of the issues their school is having with their students, with families leaving the district. And one sentence he says, "The revenue generated by the turbines is a blessing to our schools, but the unintended consequences are real." So what does this mean for us personally here in the footprint of this project? It means that we must find a way to protect ourselves and our families. However, we are finding that those of us with the most to lose have the least voice in the matter. We're forced then to rely on each one of you and the McLean County Board to protect our rights. You have the opportunity to deny Invenergy this project, or at the very least, demand setbacks that will be safe for people rather than simply meeting the minimum requirements. Are each one of you willing to shoulder the responsibility for undue difficulties placed on the affected children and families of McLean County? Do me a favor. Take a good long look at this room. I'm serious. Just humor me. Look at the people in this room. I don't see anybody looking. Thanks. There are very valuable lives at stake here. Forcing each one of us to live among these dangerous turbines against our will force each one of you to live with the weight of that decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
Were you reading from a magazine or from a
No, I have
conference?
Articles. I have them here if you need them. There are several stapled here. And those are just bullet points that I pulled out that caught my attention. There's a lot more. It's easy to find.
I'd like a copy.
Sure, you can have that. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Hey, Kelly, have you had any direct conversation with Dr. Piermont, who was at that conference?
No.
Okay. Have you had any direct connection with anyone who's had this windmill syndrome?
No.
Okay.
No, and this term windmill or wind turbine syndrome is new. This is a new thing. This is new territory.
Are there other school districts are there other schools within your school district that you were an RN that had wind turbines in their schools area?
No, Lexington's a K-12 district on our own.
You're on your own?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever get together with any nurses from other school districts? Do you ever have opportunity to?
Not anymore. I haven't worked in the school since 2009.
Okay. All right, windmills haven't been around before that. I was just wondering if any of them had ever said anything to you.
No, you might like to read the letter from the superintendent, though.
So Kelly, are you RN in Bloomington in a hospital up here, or where are you an RN now?
I'm not employed anymore. I haven't worked for 6 years. I worked until 2009 at the school, and then I worked at Advocate Broman in an office. But before that, I worked in pediatrics, in the hospital setting, and in the public health setting, and in the school. Pediatrics was my chosen field, my chosen specialty.
So we do have another wind farm in the county that's rather close. Do we know of any, do you know of any, I should say, instances where people were brought into the hospital for?
You know, I don't know that. I haven't spoken to anybody about that. As you know, we got late notice on this. So I've only, it's not been that long since I've known that we were getting it, and that it really piqued my interest even more.
Thank you.
Kelly, you referred to high level of turbine effect. Did they define that in the?
No, I don't have any measurements.
Questions of staff? You have a question?
Did you not see any pantograph articles about a wind farm?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you not see any pantograph articles about a wind farm maybe 6 months or a year ago?
No, I did not. We only get the pantograph on the weekends, and I did not see that.
Kelly, you live in Lexington?
I do.
Yeah, and.
I have for, I'm 56 and all but about 2 years.
So a long time. Have you seen the Invenergy sign on the door? Have you seen that they've had a place there in Lexington?
Not until recently.
Okay.
It's just located on a spot in the block in Main Street that I don't have to go that far east, so.
Okay. And you haven't heard people in Lexington talking about?
I heard rumblings.
Okay.
Would the applicant have questions? Go to my John, right?
That's a first.
If you want a copy of the first one?